You better not still be sleeping on Houston in the Big 12, and Deion Sanders has a problem.
You are Locked On College Football with Spencer McLaughlin, your daily podcast on all things college football. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to another reaction episode of Locked On College Football. I'm your host, Spencer McLaughlin. Thank you all so much for making this your first listen or your first view. Post-college football viewing, it's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day and your daily source to stay up to date with the biggest stories in this, the greatest sport on planet Earth. I'll have another reaction pod up later to the later games. Kansas State looks terrible. I mean, truly terrible. See if they can come back against Arizona by the time you're listening to or watching this show. UCLA, not off to a good start against New Mexico. Oh boy. Thoughts on all those games once they wrap up. But Houston takes care of Colorado. And if you had told me before the game started Houston would run for over 200 yards, I would have said, oh, yeah, they're winning the football game. This is the same problem 3 years in a row for Deion Sanders' team. That's not even the biggest problem that I teased in the open. It's a problem. It's a real problem. They were also playing a team that's just better than them. For those watching on YouTube, you can see as I'm about to throw up my preseason Big 12 power rankings. I have Houston all the way up at number 8, Colorado down at number 11. That's why I picked Houston to win this game. It's why I picked them to cover, which of course they did. And the Cougars are a program that I feel like is on the rise. I like their head coach, Willie Fritz. They brought in Connor Weigman. They're one of the teams that when they found something at the end of last season, I had a greater inclination to support compared to some others because it was Willie Fritz's first year at the helm. Well, they look like a team that can't be ignored in the Big 12. Now, the one question I do still have with Houston going forward, what's the ceiling on their passing game? Because it's not like it's been lighting the world on fire. It looks amazing. You know, Connor Weigman looks good, looks capable. I wouldn't describe him as one of the best quarterbacks in the Big 12, but he does enough. He does enough. How far in the Big 12 can you get with enough? What happens when you run into a Texas Tech with Baron Morton, a Utah with Devin Dampier, a TCU with Josh Hoover, and Iowa State even with Rocco Becht? I think Connor Weigman and Rocco Becht, to me, are kind of in the same vein where their numbers might not always blow you away. They're capable of doing that. But when you watch a football game, you just think, you know what? Those guys are out there making winning football plays. And Connor Weigman's doing that for Houston right now. They were talking about on the broadcast how, he had the pocket passer designation when he was coming out of high school as a quarterback prospect. And of course, he was a 5-star, former Texas A&M guy. And you get labeled that, and it sticks to you. Connor Weigman had over 80 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns in this game and looks very mobile. He carried the ball over 15 times. That's more than you would probably think for a quote-unquote pocket passer. Now, I don't think it's a primary feature of his game, but it sure is a nice thing for Houston and the offensive staff to have in their back pocket to know, yeah, guy can move if we need to. Yeah, we can roll the pocket a little bit. Yeah, we can call a design quarterback run. His quarterback sneaks were executed very well in a couple of really important spots in the football game. But he wasn't at 300 yards passing. He didn't throw for 8 touchdowns or anything like that. He just went out there and he won the football game. And you know what? Sometimes that's enough. I just wonder in the Big 12, which is such a good quarterback conference, is it enough? At the very least, Houston, with this performance and the other ones they had this year, have done enough to make people at least turn their heads at least a little. Maybe not a full snap around like, whoa, but maybe a slow, gentle meander to the right or left of, whoa, Houston, hey, that looks pretty good down there. The Cougars, year 2, veteran quarterback. That looks pretty good. And then defensively in this game, you have to like what you saw from Houston. Colorado was under 5 yards a carry as a team. Again, I'll get to Deion Sanders in the second segment because I want to give Houston their flowers and get everybody to understand that this is a team in the Big 12 that just shouldn't be ignored. It really should not be a team you look at and go, oh, they're just whatever. No, they look like a good football team to me. They look like a good football. And you know what? The Big 12's looking for those right now. Don't tell me that you can't find a team that can wildly outperform expectations, that can elevate the brand of your conference, which the Big 12 sorely needs at the moment after last week's disaster. Don't tell me you can't find that in this conference, because Arizona State was that last year. Arizona might be that this year, The Wildcats look good. Again, as I'm recording this show, Arizona and Kansas State still has a lot of football to be played. But Arizona looks like a good team through the first 2.5 games. Arizona State was really good last year. Maybe this is Houston. This is a really good on my 5-point scale, of course, for my fan mood assessment post any particular game. You can get 1 of 5 ratings, and it's not necessarily directly correlated with the outcome. This is a nice lean win outcome for Houston because you solidified the fact that, okay, we know there should be a certain floor of production for this Cougars team. I'm watching Willie Fritz after he took over a program that was bottom of the barrel, that last year I thought would only win 2 or 3 games. They managed to win 5, and I went, boy, that's a little better than I thought. And I do think Willie Fritz is a good coach. This is a Houston program that is very much on the rise, and it is more than a little interesting to see where they can actually go for the rest of the season. Can they keep Connor Weigman healthy? Can they elevate the passing game? Because at some point you might need to do that. But they don't look like a lot of other traditional Big 12 teams at the moment, the teams that you think of as, you know, being the best in the conference, that are throwing it all over the place and that are scoring a bunch of points and are doing all this sort of stuff. I don't think that's ever going to be Houston's MO. Obviously, they put up plenty of offense in the game against Colorado, but did you ever feel like they were just killing them with explosives? No, you're going against a defense that you should be able to have a lot of success against because Colorado just has not fixed the same problems that have persisted through the program throughout the last couple of years. But when you look the way you should, and especially in today's world of college football, where it feels like the bottom teams are closer to the top than they have been in the past, you should give more credit in your mind to schools, coaches, programs, players, whomever you're talking about here, that do what they should against a team that they're expected to beat. Houston was favored in this game. I didn't understand why the line came all the way down to 3.5. I think it was up at 6.5 earlier in the week. I at least saw it at 4 or 5, and it came down to 3.5, and I put that in my best bets on Friday's show and said, yeah, that's a best bet. Absolutely, because Houston's a better football team, and they look like the better football team. They got out to an early lead. They were never like super duper seriously threatened. There was kind of a moment there late in the fourth quarter, but I never felt like Houston was in major danger of losing the game. And they also didn't get away from what worked. Sometimes coaching staffs do that. We all seen it. You've probably seen it. Whichever team you're a fan of, the coaching staff in a game just, this was working so well. Why'd they get away from? No, Houston just kept going back to running the ball. Dean Connors did a lot of different things in this football game. He almost threw a pass, and then he pulled up and ran for a touchdown instead. It was kind of fun to watch. It was kind of fun. So I applaud Houston. I like what the Cougars have done. This is a nice lean win outcome. It is not an outright victory because this is not, rapidly ascending yourself into the top of the Big 12. It is one that should make people go, okay, we placed bigger expectations on Houston this year, and at this point, they look like they are good enough to be that sort of team. I have thoughts on Colorado. Deion Sanders got problems, and the Buffs have problems. First, this episode brought to you by Mazda. You can just move through life, or you can find the things that move you. It's your choice. You can choose to get out there, choose your people. You can choose to go for it, like really go for it. Just choose to do something that moves you. That is where Mazda comes in. Mazda crafts cars for those who choose to do more than simply move. Mazda is paying attention to the details, just like Houston did in their win against Colorado here. So you should go check out Mazda. Mazda, move and be moved. This episode also brought to you by our friends over at Wayfair. The weather's cooling down, the days are getting shorter, and that has me wanting to take my home and make it a place that I inhabit even more and make it feel even cozier. And when it comes to cozifying your space this fall, Wayfair is the place to go. Wayfair has everything you need to set the mood for the season, whether it's comfy recliners, warm bedding, autumn decor, or even an espresso machine so you can make your favorite latte at home. Wayfair has got it. So if you want to touch up your space, if you want to get a new piece of anything, frankly, to make it a more comfortable place to be and give it that fall cozy feel, Wayfair is here for you. Cozify your space with Wayfair's curated collection of easy, affordable fall updates, from comfy recliners to cozy bedding and autumn decor. You'll find it all for way less at wayfair.com. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Okay, 2 problems for Deion Sanders at Colorado right now. Problem number 1. there doesn't seem to be a clear direction for the quarterback situation, because you came into this year and it looked like they had a clear plan, which was, hey, Caden Salter is a veteran. He's not the long-term solution, but he's a bridge quarterback. You can win some games with him. He'll mentor the young guy, JuJu Lewis, a bit, who you obviously have invested in as your future. Okay, well, that seems like a pretty solid plan. You pulled the plug on Caden Salter basically after one game. They all played against Delaware. Ryan Staub started this game against Houston. He had some moments. The 2-minute drill at the end of the half, sure, that looked really good. He's willing to put his body on the line. I'm sure that endears him to the guys in the locker room. That's worth something. I'll give you that. But doesn't this just feel rudderless? Doesn't this just feel like Deion Sanders, frankly, doesn't know what he's doing? This is not a guy who's a head coach for the first time. He's not in his first or second year at the program. It shouldn't feel this disjointed and random this early in your third season. They make the change to Ryan Staub, which was reported, and then Deion Sanders said, whoa, I didn't say anything. I wasn't doing... Well, that kind of feels a little defensive when the Colorado offense went out, struggled to get going, did put up 14 points in the first half, but were they good enough? Absolutely not. And what exactly, if you watched this game, as I did, many of you did as well, what exactly did Ryan Staub show you, who was fine? I mean, he's just... whatever. What did he show you that Caden Salter didn't? Was it a locker room thing? I mean, okay. But if that problem was there, I then go back to the coaching staff. If it's a locker room thing, then why was Caden Salter the starter in the first place? Why did you bring him in? Why did you not figure any of these things out before the season began? Like, you're coming off of one of the best years in Colorado football in recent memory. They got a couple of guys' jerseys retired, foolishly, of course, but it was a really successful year by Colorado standards. They won 9 games. They were in the Big 12 playoff hunt for basically the entire regular season. That was a successful second year, and I had them pegged as a pullback team this year. They look exactly as I thought, but I just didn't think that it would exactly be going like this. If you're at the point where you don't think Caden Salter's the guy, and by the way, benching somebody like that at this point in their career, I wouldn't be shocked if he doesn't even finish the season on the Buffs roster. I'm not rooting for that. I'm just saying I've seen that play out many a times across the college football landscape. So you bench him because of the Georgia Tech game, where, yeah, the offense definitely was not good enough. But this whole situation feels rudderless. Like, it's at the point now, because there's no clear and actual direction or plan, where if you're going to play a veteran over the young guy and not give him the chance to learn on the field and develop and invest in a multi-year structured plan to make yourself a competitor by a certain year, if you're not doing that, okay, that's fine. You can't pull the guy after a game and a half, because that means that you're not evaluating quarterback talent very well. That means that you thought, oh, he's the answer for us to win. Oh, no, we can't do it with him. Like, whoa, this quickly? Already? And then the guy you're putting him in for is fine? Like, I don't know, he's nothing special. It wasn't a disaster, but it certainly wasn't that good. It was just, Like, is that what Colorado football is going to be now? This whole situation to me feels like a coach who's making first-time head coaching mistakes, and we know this is not Deion Sanders' first time being a head coach. It's not his first stop. It's not his first season. It should be cleaner and more. Everything should be better than it is right now. So I just don't like the way it feels more than anything else. I don't like the way this is going. At this point, man, like, if Ryan Staub you feel is your best option at quarterback, then you should have been going with JuJu Lewis this entire time. That's what it comes down to. So the other problem that Colorado has is, again, we're in year 3. And Colorado still cannot run the ball consistently or stop the run. This is a huge Georgia Tech in Boulder, week 1. Over 300 yards on the ground. Houston, first Big 12 game against a good team, not a dominant team, a good team. You give up over 200 yards rushing and over 80 yards to Connor Weigman, who is mobile-ish, but not exactly a running threat. And Colorado finishes the game with under 100 yards rushing. This has been a persistent problem now. This is no longer a one-off. Again, this is year 3. And I would have legitimate concerns if I were the Buffs right now about the quarterback. But you know what? I am less concerned for Colorado's sake about the quarterback situation, which with JuJu there could still work out one day, than I am about the fact that it's year 3 and we're having the same types of issues. Maybe statistically it's a little bit better than it used to be. I got to tell you, it's nowhere near good enough. And Deion Sanders has been all in on the portal. They don't do the whole high school recruiting thing. And guess what? It's not working. It's not working. In the 2 Power 4 games that Colorado has played this year, they are averaging. Let me pull up the Georgia Tech stats real quick. I just gotta be able to average this stuff out. I think they're averaging about 280 yards conceded on the ground. Georgia Tech ran for 320, and Houston is at about 215. I mean, this is the same thing. You know, when Colorado was 3-0 in 2023, and they were the story of college football, right? They had the hype train. They had Shedeur was playing great. They were top 20. When they went to Oregon, the Ducks dominated them in the trenches. And that was understandable because it was their first year. It was not Dan Lanning's first year. Oregon recruited at a high level. They were better up front. But here we are in year 3, and it's not even Oregon that's taking you to town in the trenches. We're talking about Georgia Tech, who is a good physical team. I like Georgia Tech. I do. I'm excited to watch them play Clemson in the morning. But you're talking about Georgia Tech and Houston are taking you for an average of, let me do some quick math in my head. Let's see, 530, that'd be 265 yards on the ground. And they still can't run the ball. I think that's an even bigger concern than how the quarterback situation feels, which is not good. Disorganized, not much of a plan. Don't know why you were going to Ryan Staub unless it was going to be something great. He finished this game 19 of 35, 204 yards, a touchdown, and 2 picks. That's what you're telling me is better than Caden Salter? In your judgment as a coaching staff, I think that's an issue. I think that is a legitimate issue. So those are my thoughts on the first game of the night. More will be coming to this feed later. Appreciate everyone listening. I'll see you next time, which will be very soon. And until then, hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.